A sweltering jungle range somewhere in the Philippines, humidity so thick you can chew it, mosquitoes the size of quarters, and two flags flapping in the hot wind, the stars and stripes, and the red, white, blue, and yellow of the Philippine Republic. On one side of the firing line stand 8 of the most dangerous men the United States Marine Corps has ever produced. MARSOC Critical Skills Operators, Marine Raiders, the guys who wrote the book on direct action, the ones who've been kicking doors from Fallujah to Marja for 20 straight years. Full beards, hybrid plate carriers, suppressed Mk-18s, PQ-15s, nods flipped up like they were born wearing them. They're laughing, slapping each other on the back, already planning the epic trash talk they're about to drop on group chat when they get back to brag. On the other side, 8 Filipino scouts in faded woodland camo that looks like it survived the Marcos era, carrying beat-to-hell M4s with carry handles still attached, iron sights, sling made out of 550 cord, and flip-flops. Literal flip-flops. One guy has a Hello Kitty patch sewn on his chest rig. They're smiling politely, quiet, almost shy. The American team leader, a mustached legend we're just gonna call Chief Mojo for the story, walks up and does that universal bro hug with the Filipino lieutenant. He grins and says, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Hey man, no offense, but we're about to 8-0 you guys so bad your grandkids are gonna feel it. We'll try to keep it sporting." The Filipino lieutenant just smiles, bows his head a little, and answers in perfect English. "No problem, Chief. We learn fast." 30 minutes later the scoreboard reads 8-0, and the Americans haven't won a single round. The Raiders are standing there with their mouths open, rifles still smoking, looking like they just watched a unicorn do calculus. One of them actually says out loud, "What the F just happened?" And Chief Mojo, the same guy who was talking all swagger 10 minutes earlier, walks straight up to the Filipino lieutenant, sticks out his hand, and says the 6 words that are about to become legend across every special operations base in the Pacific. "Sir, can you teach us that?" By the way, if you love insane military stories that nobody is talking about, real operators, real ranges, real humility checks, smash that subscribe button right now and ring the bell, because this channel is where the unspoken stories finally get told. We're going deep today, and trust me, by the end of this you're going to see the Marine Raiders, the Philippine Scout Rangers, and even yourself completely differently. Let's get it. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome for the first time. Grab a drink, silence your phone, because what you're about to hear actually happened in 2022 during Balakaten 22. It's documented. It's on video in places the public will never see, and the aftermath quietly changed how the most elite units in the United States military look at their allies forever. This is the true story of how 8 of the baddest men in MARSOC got absolutely humbled in the jungle, asked for extra training the same day, and then took those lessons back to Camp Lejeune and rewrote portions of the Critical Skills Operator course because of a bunch of quiet Filipino dudes in flip-flops. But to understand how we got to the most viral unspoken range day in modern special operations history, we have to go back, way back, to 1899, because this isn't a new story. It's a 125-year-old story that just keeps repeating itself every time America underestimates these islands. For years, 20,000 guerrilla fighters, and 4,200 dead American soldiers later, the U.S. learned the hard way that fighting in triple canopy jungle against people who were literally born in it is a different sport entirely. Out of that meat grinder came the very first U.S. Army Special Operations unit in history, the Philippine Scouts. Handpicked Ilocanos, Visayans, Pampangans, guys who could walk 40 miles through rice paddies with 100 pounds of rice and ammo, carrying nothing but a BOLO knife and a bad attitude. They embarrassed the U.S. Army so bad in training that the War Department made them an official unit and kept them on the books all the way until 1948. Fast forward to World War II. Bataan Death March. 75,000 prisoners. For 3 years they bled the Japanese dry. When MacArthur came back in 44, it was Filipino guerrillas who guided the Rangers to Cabanatuan and freed the survivors of Bataan. One of those guerrillas was a 19-year-old kid named Fidel Ramos, who would later become president, but back then he was just another barefoot scout with a bar who made Japanese patrols disappear. Then Korea. Then Vietnam, where the Philippine Civic Action Group, PhilCAG, and later the Philippine Contingent Vietnam, PhilConV, ran long-range recon along the Laotian border, and had a kill ratio that made MACVSOG raise an eyebrow. The point is this: the Philippines never stopped producing quiet, scary dudes who punched 20 weight classes above their GDP. And in 1986, when the dictatorship fell and the new constitution said no more U.S. bases, a lot of people thought that pipeline was over. They were wrong, because while the bases closed, the training never stopped. Every single year since 1991, Balikatan, shoulder to shoulder, exercises have brought U.S. and Philippine forces together. And every single year the same thing happens. The Americans show up with the newest gear, the latest TTPs, $900 plates, $3,000 optics, drones, javelins, all of it. And the Filipinos show up in whatever they have, smile, say yes sir, and then quietly win. But nobody outside the community ever hears about it, because the Filipinos don't talk, and the Americans, well, the Americans usually pretend it was a tie or great learning experience. Until Balikatan 2022, this time it was different, because this time the Americans were Marine Raiders, MARSOC's finest, Team 2 out of Camp Lejeune, and they were feeling themselves. They had just come off a pump in Syria, they had new suppressed M110s, new SIG rattlers, new everything. They were the tip of the spear's tip. And the Filipinos they were facing weren't regular army grunts. They were the 1st Scout Ranger Regiment, and more specifically, 8 shooters from the Scout Ranger Company that no longer officially exists on any org chart, because nobody wants to admit it still operates in Basilan and Sulu. The same unit whose calling card is a red rectangle patch with a Black Panther and no writing. If you see that patch in Mindanao, you turn around and leave, because those guys don't take prisoners, they take heads, literally, when the rules of engagement allow it, which down south they sometimes do. These are the great-grandsons of the guys who made the Japanese fear the jungle. So when the Raider team leader, Chief Mojo, started talking noise at the boodle fight the night before the range day, nobody corrected him. A boodle fight, by the way, is how Filipinos eat in the field. Rice, fish, pork adobo, chicken, all dumped in the middle of a table covered in banana leaves, no plates, no utensils, you eat with your hands, officers and enlisted together. It's a bonding thing. The Raiders thought it was hilarious and savage in the best way. They're pounding San Miguel beers, taking selfies, posting blurred-out stories with captions like, "Lost in the sauce with the homies." Meanwhile, the Scout Rangers are eating quietly, smiling, barely drinking, because they know what's coming tomorrow. The next morning the range is hot. The event is simple on paper. 8 versus 8 force on force. Airsoft because live fire against allies is a diplomatic incident waiting to happen. But these are not Walmart airsoft guns. Hurts like hell, leaves welts. Counts as a kill if it breaks on you. The Marines call it the suck. Filipinos call it Tuesday. The jungle block is 800 meters by 600 meters of pure hell. Triple canopy, zero visibility past 15 meters, waist-deep carabao mud, vines thick as your arm, and monkeys screaming like they're auditioning for Jurassic Park. Rules: 2 lives each, medics can drag and revive once, no respawn after second death. First team to eliminate the other twice wins the round. Best of 15 rounds over 2 days, bragging rights forever. The Raiders are running full kit. Ops Corps helmets, L3 PVS, 31 as even though it's daylight because Flex, Cry G3 combats in multicam, S-Stack Kiwis, Spiritus fat straps, Raptors, everything. They look like a recruitment poster. The Scout Rangers show up in mixed woodland and old US DCU pants, some in basketball shorts underneath because it's 98 degrees and 900% humidity, flip-flops or jungle boots with the toes cut out so they dry faster, and plate carriers that are literally sewn rice sacks with level 3 plates. One guy has a GoPro, but most don't bother. The American referee, a Marine major, briefs both teams. Keep it professional, no cheap shots, call your hits. Round 1 starts. Raiders move out in 2 4-man elements, standard bounding Overwatch. One team suppresses while the other maneuvers, peeling left and right like they've done 1,000 times in Iraq. They're using hand signals, whispering on comms, perfect fire discipline. 40 seconds later, every single Raider is hit. Some of them twice. They never even saw the Rangers. One Raider later described it as, "It felt like the jungle itself stood up and shot me." The Rangers didn't run. They didn't bounding Overwatch. They didn't peel. They literally crawled on their bellies through the mud, using roots and termite mounds for cover, moving 10 meters in 5 minutes. Slow is smooth. Smooth is invisible. Round 2. Raiders adjust, go full stealth, try to channel Filipino style, still 0-2. Drones disappear, shot down by Rangers using slingshots with ball bearings, because of course they did. By lunch the score is 8-0 in favor of the Scout Rangers, and the Raiders haven't taken a single round. The Raiders are shell-shocked. One of them, a staff sergeant with 3 Afghanistan tours, is sitting on a log staring at his mud-covered rifle like it betrayed him. Another one keeps muttering. They're ghosts, literal ghosts. And Chief Mojo, Mr. Swagger himself, does something nobody expected. He walks over to Captain Tiny, stands at attention, and in front of God and everybody says, "Sir, with all due respect, can you please teach us how to do that? We'll buy the San Miguel for a month." The entire range goes quiet. But first, take off your boots. And that's when the real lesson began. For the next 6 hours, the Scout Rangers put the Raiders through what they call Jungle 101, but the hard way. First lesson, footwear. Raiders are wearing $300 Salomons with all the cushion and arch support. Rangers make them take them off and go barefoot, or in flip-flops. Why? Because heavy boots make noise on leaves, suck you into mud, and give you blisters that end deployments. Flip-flops or bare feet let you feel the ground, move silent, and dry instantly. One Raider tries to protest. But what about snakes? Ranger instructor holds up a live cobra he just caught with his bare hands and says, "This is dinner. You worry about noise, jungle worries about you." Second lesson, movement. Rangers don't walk in the jungle. They flow, elbows tucked, rifle muzzle never above shoulder height because vines will catch it, knees bent, weight on balls of feet, every step deliberate. They teach something called panther crawl, belly on the ground, rifle cradled in arms, moving inches at a time, breathing synced to insect noise. Takes 10 minutes to move 10 meters, but you become invisible. Rangers smear carabao dung and wet ash on exposed skin because it kills your scent and breaks up your outline better than any $80 jar of camo cream. One Raider gags. Ranger says, "You want to smell pretty or you want to live?" Fourth lesson, noise discipline. Raiders are used to clicking comms, whispering call signs. Rangers don't talk at all once they cross the line of departure. They use bird calls, specific bird calls for specific commands. 3 cuckoos means enemy spotted. 1 long whistle means freeze. And if you hear a laughing thrush, somebody's about to die, because that's not a bird, that's a Ranger 5 meters away with a knife. Fifth lesson, weapons handling. The Rangers shoot old, beat up M4S with iron sights, but they shoot them like they're part of their body. They don't use optics in triple canopy because glass fogs, reflects light, and adds weight. They train point shooting from the hip, starting at 3 meters, all the way to 25. One Ranger demonstrates by walking past a line of hanging coconuts, eyes closed, and popping every single one with a single airsoft round without breaking stride. By the end of day 1 of training, the Raiders are exhausted, humiliated, covered in dung, barefoot, and grinning like kids who just found the secret level. Day 2. Rematch. When Tiny gets hit, he laughs out loud. First time anyone's heard him raise his voice. Walks over and hugs the corporal. "You learn fast, Joe. Next year we go live rounds." And that was it. The Raiders went back to Lejeune different men. Within 6 months, elements of the Scout Ranger TTPs, barefoot jungle movement, natural camouflage, noise discipline using local fauna sounds, were quietly added to the MARSOC ANS prep course and the ITC, individual training course. You won't find it in any PowerPoint with Philippine flags on it, because nobody wants to admit they got smoked that hard. But if you're a CSO going through the course right now and your instructors make you crawl through the swamp with no boots and bird call comms, now you know where it came from. The Scout Rangers, they went back to Mindanao, kept doing what they do, and never posted a single TikTok about it. Because that's the difference. One side needed to prove they're the best. The other side just is. There's a saying in the Philippines special operations community, translated from Tagalog. We don't train to be better than the enemy. We train to be the jungle. This time they brought flip-flops in their rucks from day 1. Close. Real close. And in 2024, word is a certain Raider team finally took the series 9-8. But here's the kicker. When they won, the first thing they did was walk over to the Scout Rangers, shake hands, and say, "Rematch next year, same jungle, but this time we bring the dumb." Because once you've been taught by the jungle, you never forget who the real masters are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story nobody wanted told until now. If this video blew your mind, if you had no idea our allies in the Philippines are operating on a level most of us can even comprehend, do me a favor, smash that like button until it breaks. Drop a comment with the word Salamat if you have a whole new respect for the Scout Rangers. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that red button, ring the bell, because next week we're exposing the classified British SAS training that US Delta Force copies to this day, and you do not want to miss it. This is your boy signing off. Stay dangerous, stay humble, and remember, sometimes the deadliest dudes in the room are the quiet ones wearing flip-flops. Salamat po, Scout Rangers, that will see you in the jungle.